Good evening. I have a message from my mother. A strong message it is. And I want to answer one question today from a viewer. So my mother contacted me today. She passed away earlier, right? She's been in contact regularly. And today she wanted to thank me for talking to my father. My father is still alive. I don't talk to him very often because we have these disagreements, strong disagreements about the medical experiment that taking place now, with the injections. But yesterday I called him and we had a long talk. It was very good. And she wanted to thank me for this. And then she said something that I thought maybe you will find this interesting. She brought it up, you see. And I didn't ask her about it. She talked about the medical experiment. And she said, she used a very bad word. Very strong word about this, to describe her feelings. See, she never uses these words. Only when she's really, really angry, she can use a strong word. She used these mild ones, But now she did. And she said, what they are doing now, she was upset about this, you see. What they are doing now with these injections, it's in Swedish, för jävligt. That's a very strong word. It means crap, it's shit, strong word. So this described how she felt about it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Well, I know spirits on the other side, of course, they know what's happening here with these injections. But still, I thought it was interesting. Right. Okay, so the question from a viewer, it's this one. So some people, they go through their full life and they have no paranormal experience whatsoever. How is this? And whilst others have them regularly, right? I recognize this question, but I think I answered this question earlier, but I want to do it again because it's such a good question. Now, one thing that I thought of when I was reading the question was this. Maybe some of them have these experiences, but they are afraid to talk about it. Or they are unwilling to accept that they have them even. And I have an example of this. It's my father. My father is not spiritual at all. I've seen cars that are more spiritual than my father. And this was sort of annoying when I grew up, because I had weird experiences. And when I talked about it, especially later, I started talking about it when I turned 18, 19 years old, you see. I became more certain of my experiences and I became vocal about it. And whenever I talked about it, anything different, you see, there was a bad reaction from my father, or no reaction, bad response every time. And this was a bit annoying, see. And I thought, this guy is not spiritual at all. He's all into material stuff, see. And I was disappointed, of course. Now, then he told a story, and this was very late, when he was maybe 76 years old or something. We were sitting there talking. It was my girlfriend and myself, and then my mother was there, and then my father told his story. Out of the blue, see. And we were all surprised by it. So he told a story about when he was, I think, 12 years old or something. And he was going to sleep and he was alone in the room and he saw a ball of light coming into the room. and he got scared like crazy, and he was hiding under the blanket, but he was watching it, and it moved slowly across the room, and it was very, very real, of course. The way he talked, the way he described it, everything. And he wasn't making it up, of course not. He wouldn't. Now, he didn't like it. That's the thing. Now, my father grew up in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, of course. And during this time, not earlier, if you go to Sweden back in time, people talked about these things, you know, unusual things that happened to people, right? But then came the Christians, right? And science, you know. And it was basically forbidden to talk about this, right? And according to science, it was, well, you were sort of crazy if you had these experiences. So people learned this, of course. They didn't dare to talk about it because people would consider them insane. See, something was wrong with you if you had experiences like this. This is what people learned back then. And my father, definitely, he learned this. So maybe, you know, me talking about it, my girlfriend talking about it, maybe this encouraged him. Now finally, he could tell this story, you know. So that's what he did. So I think there's a lot of people actually who are just afraid to speak up about it. But then, of course, there are those who are, they just don't see anything, you know. You know what I'm talking about, I think. You meet them, you talk to them sometimes. They are so closed, you know. It's like there's nobody there. So maybe they are just so afraid of anything else. So they don't look. They just have this narrow band of what life is. You see? And they just stick to this. They don't want to look outside. No, I used to, sometimes I enjoy myself when I meet people like this. For instance, I can stare at them. You know, really look, not stare, you know, but really observe them for a long time, and they will become very nervous. They are not used to this at all. Somebody actually looking at them, you know. I believe that some of these people, they go through life years and nobody's really talking to them. You know. They don't reach anyone, really. It's just all superficial stuff, you know. Sometimes I go over there and touch them. I recommend this. This is fun. See what happens. No, with some affection too, you know. They can't handle this stuff. It will really shake them up. This is how I enjoy myself sometimes. So I think so. That's what it is. You know, they are suppressing any of these thoughts because it doesn't fit with their view of life, which is very, very narrow. And I think they are suppressing anything. Things must have happened to them too. You know, I believe so. It's just that they can't observe it. They can't experience it. These are my thoughts on this. All right. Be good.